It's always so nice when the Panchen Lama has a birthday. Yeah? Mm-hmm.
We're ready? Yes. Just I begin, yes? Yes. Okay. Thank you, my dear friends, for what? For having us here. Because it's important to Estonian Parliament, and not only, I think most of Estonian people, because, as I said in my speech, Dalai Lama has visited Estonia 3 times. And you don't even imagine what happened in Estonia, in our Tallinn, our capital, main square. Every time it was absolutely filled of people. So I really, without lying, not more than 1%, that everyone in Estonia, among Estonians, really feel connection with Tibet. And this connection, it's a normal thing to feel. You are occupied, we were occupied, and I'm not talking only about 50 years, about Soviet occupation, but earlier, 300 years, about Russian occupation. And now, as we are on the kind of stepping stone again, this is about Russia, this is about communist China, and this is about the world. It's about the things these regimes are trying really to change. And actually we're living very dangerous times. But we can't step back, we must step forward. It means really, actually I used fucking empires as I used it and my speech. It was on purpose, because I really think there's nothing normal about violating human rights, nothing normal about occupying another countries, nothing normal about kidnapping, and nothing normal about trying to influence kind of, for example, free elections all around the world. And this is all about Russia and China. Well, this is a great boy band like Iran is one of them as well, and Northern Korea like Cruel Beatles. So, and we are not fans, yeah. And you are not fans as well. And this is why we are very thankful that our voice will be heard here, and your voice will be more heard in Europe. And I really hope that soon the time will come that European states start to officially recognize, for example, Tibetan exile government. They will start to recognize, yes, Tibet has been occupied. It's not a part of China. It's not Chinese business. It's not Chinese plastic cakes. It's not. It's own language, own culture, own everything. So we have to be strong, and we are small nations. And as we all know, small nations have to trust each other, all in the world. And every big thinking starts from small stuff, you know. Excuse me? Yeah. Every big thinking starts from small ideas. So we are here together to start from small ideas, big things. So now the questions, please. If you have any. Yeah.
First of all, dictionary to all the delegations. My question is, the president of the Tibetan government in exile today, during his speech commemorating the 35th birthday of the Panchen Lama,
appealed the democratic governments and the rights group to urge China to grant access to an independent fact-finding delegation in order to secure Panchen Lama's release. And the delegations present today, given that the delegations present today are from the Estonian government and is a member state of the European Parliament, which upholds democratic principles. So how does the EU, not just the EU, the Estonian government perceive the current situation surrounding the Panchen Lama? And furthermore, what can the Estonian government do to support, to call on the China to support the call China for an independent fact-finding delegations to know about the whereabouts of the Panchen Lama? Thank you.
Thank you. You're a little bit mistaken because Estonian government and parliament are two separate things. We live in democratic state. It means government is made from members of parliament. It means parliament is a lawgiver, not government. So we are members of parliament, we are lawgivers. Yeah, but the question I understood, yes. A question of Panchen Lama. This is a much larger question than only, as His Holiness today morning said, it's a question of thinking globally. It's not about only Panchen Lama. It's about kidnapping. It's about non-democratic ways. It's about kind of war against human rights. And of course, we will mention it day after day in European Parliament. As you know, maybe that European parliamentarian elections are just going on in Estonia. Well, not just, but after, I don't know, after a week or something like that, or in May. Okay, that's not important, but we really try to vote for those people, for Estonian delegation, parliamentarians in EU who raise those questions absolutely every day. And Panchen Lama, we don't take it separately. We take it all the stuff China does right now, all the stuff Russia does right now, all the stuff what is involved with China, with Russia and Ukraine, all the stuff what's involved with war. As we know, China has threatened Taiwan. So these are the main questions. And if we can weaken, and we must, Europe and the US must weaken China so much that China must give up acting like this, and well, and one day maybe really we see where Panchen Lama is, if he is alive. Because I don't trust communists. I'm from Soviet Union. I'm born in Soviet Union. I know what it means. I don't trust them.
Tashi Gelek, I'm Yeshida from Radio Free Asia. I have 3 questions. My first question is to Yuku Carl Reid. So the question is about how members of EU can come together to challenge or tackle China's growing power in the Europe. Because recently, if I'm correct, the Italian government backed out of the Belt and Road Initiative. So that is a big step. So my first question is how the members of EU can tackle the growing power of China. And the second question is, obviously, this is a big concern for all of us, is about the reincarnation of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. China has its own plans. So they have appointed their own Panchen Lama. Obviously, he will recognize the Dalai Lama in coming years. So, like your country and all the members of EU, how should they plan the succession plan, the reincarnation of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama? How should they stop the interference of Chinese government in this process? And the third one is about, as you know, that US has appointed a special coordinator for Tibetan issues. Right? So can EU appoint a special coordinator for Tibetan issue? In that regard, how the Estonian government can walk forward and have appointed a special coordinator for Tibetan issue in EU? Thank you.
We can answer, I don't know, till tomorrow morning. These are questions like that, but I'm just giving a try, and then maybe En and Roy will help me. But the first thing, how? Actually, we don't know how. No one knows how. We are trying after every elections of EU Parliament. No one knows who pops in Parliament because we just get the votes separate states. And no one knows what are people thinking there, okay, and their representatives in European Union. So it's a kind of question of witchcraft, but I'm not a witch, and I don't know. But one thing I know, that we must repeat the subjects about values, political values. And of course, I know the questions about China, there's a different statements among Europe. And everything is, yes, it seems like a big mess from outside. But still, if there are critical moments, Europe can pull, we can pull ourselves together. And Ukrainian war is quite a good example. We argue and argue and argue. It takes a long time, but still we make our decision. And after Ukraine, after Russia attacking Ukraine, the China subject came to the table as well, because maybe after tens and tens of years, European countries slowly, but still, they had recognized and understood that this is the same stuff that China wants to do or is doing and what Russia does. And this is a question of values. We don't want it. So I know, I'll tell you 100% it will be a lot of arguments, lot of debates how to do and why to do it. But why to do it? No one nowadays asks. 10 years ago, it was maybe business as usual with China. That's out of window already, and it's kind of slowly moving. You know, democracy is slow. It is slow because we have so much different opinions. It can't be decided in a minute, like in dictatorship. Dictator says that it is. So democracy is, it seems that it's ineffective, but these effects are really, they show themselves after a while. But still, I believe in democracy more than in, I don't know, rather quick dictatorship. But Hen, about the European Union, maybe you want to something to add here.
It's a very good question, and it's very hard to answer.
It's a very bad question, actually, because we don't know the answer.
It's very good and very important question, I know. But unfortunately, we don't have so clear and quick answers. But if we look what happens between European Union and China, then we see clearly there is situation is changed. Some years ago, even European Union was quite blind toward to China
And optimistic.
and very optimistic. Yes. But the world is changing, and it changed so quickly. A few years ago, nobody could imagine that in the middle of the Europe will be the war, that Russia will attack Ukraine. By the way, I was there some weeks ago on the front line, and it's just terrible. Today we met His Holiness Dalai Lama and talk about war and violence, and he said that the violence and the war and aggression is never the answer.
He said our weapon is thinking.
Yes, And
big. It's really.
yes, they are very wise words. And here we are. We must think what to do, how to act.
And how to answer.
Yes, and the European Union is very slow organization. There is 27 different countries, and all those solutions, and it takes time. But we see that there's a big different EU countries, and EU is much more critical toward China in any means, in politically, in economically, etc. And maybe soon will be this moment when the European Union and other countries could say to China that that's it. Democracy.
No more business as usual. This would be the main question. And if we have a consensus in the European Union, no more business as usual, if we are talking not about values, this is kind of our aiming high, and we must try. Otherwise we don't know.
Jah, ära vahele sega, palun. But this is my message. Let's hope, and I'm sure that it will be happen sooner than we can imagine.
Question on the Dalai Lama's reincarnation.
Yeah, I will answer regarding the reincarnation. They didn't know answers, but regarding a specific question, I guess I know the answer. Me, myself, I'm also reincarnation of somebody, We all, as a Buddhists, we believe that we are reincarnated and we will reincarnate. And do you think China or Chinese Communist government can anyhow control my personal reincarnation? I don't think so. Even looks funny, yeah? So I guess it's not possible for any government, is it communist government or capitalist government or democratic or non-democratic government, to control any kind of reincarnation. It's just absurd, So yes, they can come up with some kind of theater play, like Panchen Rinpoche. We all know that there is a other Panchen Rinpoche also living and acting as a real Panchen Rinpoche in People's Republic of China, but almost nobody recognizes this fake Rinpoche. I think it's somehow over-pushed question. How could Chinese Communist government control somebody's reincarnation? Is it His Holiness the Dalai Lama or any animal or anybody? It's not possible. So I think it's not worth to pay attention so much, It's just, it takes us to some very strange and dark journey, and I think this question is somehow overthinked, yes.
Thank you.
And one thing that's true, that yes, well, from Soviet Union we knew that, well, mind control, of course, it's I don't know, main idea of every dictatorship, but well, they can't, they can't do it, and of course it makes them nervous. And that's the same question about China and reincarnation of Dalai Lama. It makes them nervous, but let them be nervous then. Okay. Yeah.
So I have a question. Since when has Estonia been associated with the cause of Tibet, and you said His Holiness Dalai Lama has visited Estonia thrice. Also, is this more of a spiritual or a political cause that you are supporting them with, considering the fact that in Estonia almost 58% people don't follow any religion? So if you could just run us through that.
Absolutely. Dalai Lama visited Estonia in 1991 first time. And actually here sits a person you were involved with that visit. Andres Herkel sits here. You can ask him how it was done. I saw Dalai Lama during that visit just once. I was 15 years old or something, yes. Yeah. And but I really think that for Estonians this connection is it was at that time political connection as well, but although it's a kind of a spiritual question, and it's a question about freedom, it's a question about suppressed nations, suppressed cultures, languages, so everything like that, and so I think that almost every Estonian finds something similar if we're talking about Tibet and the faith and the path of Tibetans. So I think one thing, because Estonia is not a Buddhistic country. Actually, by official statistics, we're absolutely non-believers. Well, I don't remember the percent, but yeah. I don't know, it's 60 or yeah, something like that. No members of any church, and maybe some people are who are going to pagan faith. It's already a very old faith before Christ faith, and no one really takes Christianity very seriously. Buddhism was, of course, kind of in the 90s, it was a little a question of fashion as well. But still, I think Estonians are pragmatic. Just we are pragmatic.
Two short questions because we have run out of time.
I correct. Yoko don't take religion and Christianity seriously.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about
We have a lot of people who are taking.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to ask the panel to answer in a short form. So you first. And then you.
Hi, sir. Siddhant from Beyond. Do you expect any reaction from the Chinese government over your presence here in Dharamshala? Yes. And has in the past you been attended the birthday celebration, and has there been a Chinese reaction?
Yep. Short answer, yes. Reactions have already been. It's kind of notes from Chinese government to Estonian Minister of Foreign Affairs, and it happens every time. If I talk with Tibetans, or I visited Taiwan, for example. I don't know how so much numbers, how many notes there were. So yeah, but let them be worried.
Okay, your turn.
Yeah, I'm with the Hindustan Times, and I have just a brief question. You know, if you look at Europe,
if you look at the Baltic states, the fear of what is happening, occupation is much, much greater than, say, in other parts of Europe. And there is a feeling that Europe is still not on of one mind on the issue of China, the challenge posed by China. If you speak to some countries, they still think they can work with China. Do you think Europe can come to a common position on China on this issue?
I think because the stuff what is happening now with Russia, almost even slow Europe starts to understand that it's the same fucked up system in China. And it's the same, we will face the same problems. So we can be a whistleblowers, we have to.
Maybe Tarmo can...
Tarmo, explain something. Explain yourself.
Yeah, but we can do, we can hope and just be ready. If something happens, good. So we are ready. I think that is a good point, how to live it. We cannot change the big things.
Yeah, but the process is going toward this. So it takes just time. And sometimes
it's like
the...
continent.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we should end the press conference here. Thank you very much for the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are on the right side.
Yeah, certainly.
I hope so.
Okay, thank you.
We have a press joint appeal from Himalaya region guests who are here. Thank you.
Shall we start?
Chilo ni do ni ju zhe xi de xi be ce ni ju nga ni kun si pension kun den ju ji ji zun den ze gen de yi xie zhen le fu zo bai san bu qiu gong zhang sum ju song an la pe pe gui chung ga yi song zhe xu be tirin nga zhe sem zap chen be to ge ji xiong dang nyam zhe ge co te xin ge ji co de ka la nga zhe den sa zhe xi lung bu dang Himalaya gong ba dang co ba xi ne song zhe xu be redun dunsen nga chen xi xu gyu yin tangbo chi ge gi xiong dang nyam zhe ge co te xin ge ji co de ka ne min lo ni xu za gu ring kar song cha men do gyur be phe gi Panchen Rinpoche kun zhen chuk ji ba ji zun Tenzin gen do yi xie chen le pu zo bai sang bu cho ke za zha ge ne dang xie dong yong gyur kya na do chi ge xiong zab mi ne Panchen Rinpoche da ngoso jeje tudab gi shungdel timchar tembe nangtab yongwa shugyu Tenzin 당고 teni Tenzin nibade chige gi shungda nyamde gezo deishin geji chode kane Panchen Rinpoche kunchen chukjiba cho gonglo chune dabar milo nishu tsagurin zhuami topdangda chede rangmyo chibe topdangsun dorna rode chusumgi shize zhuami topdang tsawane mebe ngoshe chunda ki sengdari butab yongwa shugyu Tenzin sumba chige gi shungda nyamde gezo deishin geji chode kane kunsi Panchen Rinpoche cho nyurdu leje yongtab che tong gyabgyur chunjir kui chungar nimur sungzi linguishik penang yongwa shugyu Tenzin shiba tabar milu nishu tsagurin karsong chamen du gyurbe Panchen Rinpoche yangsi choshib chokchungi unzin kushab chade Rinpoche zu pyo gangjung zinsu zunju chebe chapsi zombanam chedu leje yongtabsu gyabgyo nangro shugyu dang pyo nanggi nedang tadungya hajanggi zaza inbe tabar pyumi gyacha kelwe ranglu mese ki gyana shungla shiwe ngugo cheshin yu chilo nidong nishu zangyi nang ranglo nishu zanga inbe pyo ki nashun sheba tsiri cawa nubula dang ranglo gyaju gyaji la pebe zapyun la nigi pyo nang ranglu mese che yu konzu rangi chebe tseso le tangne pyo nanggi nguyo ki kangen setapsu nyamde gezo da zamling mimang sar kebe chishin yuebe chige gi shungda nyamde gezo dishin geji chode kane pyo nang ngoyo kangen ka nyurdu setapsu ngale gyabgyur shukche nangro shugyoyin Tenzin ngaba pyo nanggi pyo mimanggi ngoyonde chino gongsa kyamgwen chumbucho nyurdu pyo la pep tupdabdang kongi gongshiri yuebe nime ume lamgi pyo dun sejuyi la mudu gyabgyo nangro shugyu tabar chigegi shungmanda nyamde gezo deishin geji chode kane pyodun to gyabgyur shukche nangda nangshinbar tukji che shugyu dang maze gongdu nga zuyo ngensen shube Tenzin nga jengi shube deda pyomiza maze gyo saya mangbu semkam dang deda ki mangzuyo topdang yang dewar shukchen shik cha yuebe chigegi shungmanda nyamde gezo deishin geji chode kane pyo nangge ngoyo ge zaza kangen setapsu gyabgyur ngale shukchen nangyur nga zuyo rewada iche tembo yu tujiche
I will read the joint appeal on the occasion of the 35th birthday of His Holiness the 11th Panchen Lama made today, dated 25th April 2024. It is with great concern that we, representing 4 monasteries and associations from the Himalayan region and the traditional seat of the Panchen Lama, the Tashi Lhunpo Monastery, make this joint appeal with following 5 points. Firstly, we urge the foreign governments, the United Nations, and the international community to pass a motion urging them to direct their ambassadors in China to meet with the 11th Panchen Lama to ascertain his whereabouts and well-being. Secondly, we urge the foreign governments, the United Nations, and the international community to honor the 11th Panchen Lama with an award recognizing him as a victim of enforced disappearance for almost 29 years and as someone who has been denied with his human rights, religious freedom, rights of a child, and other fundamental rights of movement, residency, and others. Thirdly, in order to enable his early release and as a way to draw attention to his situation, we appeal to the foreign governments, the United Nations, and the international community to observe the birthday of the 11th Panchen Lama. Fourthly, we also urge the foreign governments, the United Nations, and the international community to actively call for the release of Kyabje Rinpoche, a Lama of Tashi Lhunpo Monastery who was the head of the search committee to find the 11th Panchen Lama, as well as the very many Tibetan political prisoners. On account of the dire situation inside Tibet, Tibetans have been resorting to self-immolations to protest against the Chinese occupation, the latest being a 25-year-old Tibetan singer Tsewang and an 81-year-old tapu in 2022. The self-immolators, which which is recorded as more than 150 Tibetans, have sacrificed their most cherished life in order to draw the attention of the international community to the critical situation in Tibet. Therefore, we urge the foreign governments, the United Nations, and the international community to respond positively to their plea. Fifth and the last plea or appeal, the aspiration of the Tibetans in Tibet is for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to be able to return to Tibet at the earliest. Therefore, we strongly appeal to the foreign governments, the United Nations, and the international community to consider taking concrete initiatives to support His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Central Tibetan Administration to enable the resolution of the Tibet-China conflict through the mutually beneficial middle way approach. The foreign governments, their citizens, the United Nations, and the international community have been consistently supporting Tibetan people. So we take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to all of them. This 5-point joint appeal that we have presented today are in one way also connected to the holistic well-being of the several million believers and followers, and therefore is connected to democratic rights of these many individuals. We have firm hope that the foreign governments, the United Nations, and the international community will consider the reality of the Tibetan situation, particularly on the issue of the Panchen Lama's enforced disappearance case, and consider our appeals positively. Thank you. The undersigned Kyabje Zeekyab Rinpoche, the abbot of Tashi Lhunpo Monastery, Kyabje Rinpoche Ki Monastery from Spiti, Tsechokling Tenzin from Sikkim, Dorjay, acting president of the Ladakh Buddhist Association. Thank you. Now I request LBA President Dorjay to make comment in Hindi.
सबसे पहले जुले नमस्कार और टशीज दिलेक मेरे मीडिया फ्रेंड्स, सबसे पहले आज का जो हम प्रेस ब्रीफिंग दे रहे हैं थोड़ा उससे पहले मैं कुछ चंद बातें हिंदी में रखना चाहूँगा। पंचन रिम्पोछे या पंचन लामा कौन है, क्या है, इसके बारे में छोटा सा एक ब्रीफ देना बहुत ज़रूरी समझता हूँ। 11 पंचन लामा जिसको हम रिम्पोछे के नाम से बोलते हैं, हमारे जो तिब्बत में उनका स्थान जो है दूसरे नंबर पे दलाई लामा जी के बाद उनका स्थान आता है। जैसे उनका जो आज 25 अप्रैल 1989 को उनका बर्थ हुआ था, आज हम यहाँ पे सारे उनके बर्थडे सेलिब्रेशन मना रहे हैं। साथ साथ बड़े अफसोस के साथ और बड़े दुख के साथ मुझे ये कहना पड़ रहा है, जब पंचन लामा को एज ए बुद्धिस्ट को हमारे बुद्धिस्ट के हिसाब से जब उसका रीइंकार्नेशन हुआ, दलाई लामा जी ने जब उनका नाम पंचन रिम्पोचे के नाम पे उनको 11 पंचन रिम्पोचे डिक्लेयर जब किया, उसी के 3 साल के बाद पंचन रिम्पोचे चाइनीज़ कम्युनिस्ट ने गायब कर दिया। उनको कहाँ रखा है आज के दिन में बहुत अफसोस के साथ कहना पड़ रहा है, आज ये हमारे बीच में नहीं है। और लोग कह रहे हैं कि कभी उनका चाइनीज़ कम्युनिस्ट का जो स्टेटमेंट आ रहा है कभी है कभी नहीं, कभी बोलते हैं कि वो अच्छे एजुकेशन ले रहे हैं। जैसे कि आज का प्रेस ब्रीफिंग करने का हमारा मोटिव भी हमारा यही था कि हमारे रिम्पोछे के लीडरशिप में और हमारे हिमालयन बेल्ट के जितने भी यहाँ पे बुद्धिस्ट कम्युनिटी को रिप्रेजेंट करने वाले सारे हैं, तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से भी एक अपील करना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि मैं एक सिटीज़न ऑफ इंडियन हूँ, तो मैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से भी एक अपील करना चाहूँगा। पंचन रिम्पोचे के बारे में एम्बेसी चाइना को बात करना पड़ेगा, इनके बारे में पता करना पड़ेगा। और साथ साथ में एक मीडिया ब्रीफिंग के थ्रू मैं यूएन को भी एक अपील करना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि इसमें एक इंटरफेयर बहुत ज़रूरी है और यूनाइटेड नेशंस को भी इनमें आना बहुत ज़रूरी है। जब तक वो लोग इंटरफेयर नहीं करेंगे और ये जो चाइना के अगेंस्ट बात नहीं करेंगे, एज ए बुद्धिस्ट लीडर हमें तो मुझे ये डाउट है कि पंचन रिम्पोचे है कि नहीं है। मुझे इस चीज़ का भी डर है, क्योंकि उनको यहाँ से तब से जब मिसिंग हुआ आज तक किसी ने नहीं देखा है। तो ये हम जॉइंटली जो एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं, हमने जो अभी आपको इसका रिटर्न में भी है, आप लोग ले सकते हैं, और इसके ऊपर जो है अपने मीडिया के थ्रू आप आगे तक पहुंचाइए, हम भी अपने तरफ से दे रहे हैं। बट ओवरऑल मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ चाइना के ऊपर हमें प्रेशर गेन करना पड़ेगा। ये तो ह्यूमन राइट्स के अगेंस्ट है हमें मालूम नहीं है कि कहाँ है हमारे, ये तो हमारे लिए तो एक बुद्धिस्ट कम्युनिटी के लिए तो एक लॉस है, बट एज ए ह्यूमनिटी ह्यूमन उसके हिसाब से हमारे पूरे दुनिया में एक ये एक बहुत क्या कहते हैं, एक मैसेज बहुत गंदा जाएगा, क्योंकि इतने साल हो गए आज वो हमारे बीच में अभी तक नहीं दिखाई दे रहे। तो इसलिए ये आज का हम लोगों ने एक जॉइंट प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस रखा है, और मैं एज ए लद्दाख बुद्धिस्ट एसोसिएशन का एक्टिव प्रेसिडेंट एंड प्लस मैं यूथ प्रेसिडेंट होने के कारण मैं इन बातों को आज आपके मीडियम के माध्यम से यहाँ रख रहा हूँ। आप लोगों को सुनने के लिए बड़े बड़े धन्यवाद। जुले, डू यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन, सो प्लीज रेस ऑन।
Dorjay sir, अगर मैं एक सवाल पूछना तो
प्लीज।
Even in the last few years, we have seen China trying to project itself as more of, as if it is the place where Buddhism originates. They have tried to go to Mongolia, they've tried to go to other countries. And, they try to present as if they are the protectors of Buddhism and they will decide the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. When you see these kind of things happening, as an Indian Buddhist, how do you feel?
Yeah, that's true. But they work for the two lines, okay? They try to next encourage rebirth and because आपको इसके हिस्ट्री में जाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जब दलाई लामा जी का ध्यान होने के बाद जो उसको इनको डिक्लेयर करते हैं, दैट इज़ द पंचन रिम्पोचे। जैसे कि अभी पंचन रिम्पोचे को डिक्लेयर किया 14 दलाई लामा ने, तो दे हैव वन पॉलिसीज़, तो उस हिसाब से वो काम कर रहे हैं। बट अभी क्योंकि हमारे 14 दलाई लामा हमारे खुशकिस्मती है, हमारे बीच में अभी हैं, जब तक वो रहेंगे उनका लास्ट जो स्टेटमेंट होगा उसको हम मानेंगे, उसके हिसाब से हम आगे एज ए बुद्धिस्ट कम्युनिटी काम करेंगे। थैंक यू।
다 배지를 붙이기 제도 수도 마무스 나요래 계속다 간다 계지 등적 돌아야다 슌데다 슌데만 비서버는 망부스 나요래 다대처래야 아니 계지 등적하래야 다 내기 잡줄 토웨기 즉 네법도 가르직 차그도 안 딜래야 레와 가지스나 그
나서다 단다 다 벌리야 아니 ngaranzo shungde maimbe chobakha re taganashi tensatashi lumbe ngene re ani ngachi parsumla ya kunsi pencherum bichi gene den tolya ani shudo gilingui re kanji tolya bejun chimbona yore chezan taganashi ani chegi tharingi di kogabdi gyune ani shungde maimbe choba ta number to changmolo ya kogabdi gyune tu shesene shweyi kunsi pencherum bichi ane number gi ta ngaran zobe ngaran zo changme gi ane kuzi penje rumbuji gi thaba gi ledu legu peba dila teni ane kubai so ta chi chilo khasni kega damil ya chabe kapsu ane kega kha gi thoso thumi number zo gi ngole nangdang re ane thoso thumi kha den zo gi ane chi del ya ngoshe nangdang dang ane kyabjo nangdang dang 아니 타나 춘지에 개급 아니 지trozo카기 투미 카기 지 가나 마베시숑리아 아니 지 인지 닝구 나체 아니 베 카르소고 꾸데 차넨 나야라 소바텐데 림베 총요아레 대달 때니 아니 지 가나 마베시숑기야 렌데 마쟈 카메다지 총요아레 제자 덴데기 겜베 아니 이나양 렌데 총요아레 데 이나양 다 카르쇼그레 아니 지 가나 슝기 다바르 당하나조 단다 제데야 요베기 군시 펜제르 무지 고바 디마시 다 단다바도 지 멜로 숨중이와 데지 심바르 디바도 아니 고바 지 방다 공제 템베기 고바 춘제기 제규 매바 데지 차디요레 제자 딩안조기 로 판바치레 이나양 아니 마란조 창매기 다치 개갑가 트조 투미레 망부치기 꿀레 갑교다 딘조 창말라 때니 아니 지 망부치 다도 소소 잡에 갑소 망부치라 군시 펜제르 무치 고도디 아니 지 ngani yue de ba chi cha de yo ba de ji chona ji chongsola ani khonan ju ge thadung ani ngaran ju gi ngene nyam chi thongong gi nyuba chi do drill ne shungde ma yim be chobang ju changme gi nyuba chi do dini ani ku ji penjer mbu chi gi toli thadung mutu ne ani de den chi thamase gi pala mutu ne le den ji pe ba ina den den nam shi gi sala ani rawa drup thuya chi yo ba di ani so so la yi che den de ji nye song rawa chimbu chi den de ji chong song se xue chi din yin lao
इस पे मैं एक ऐड करना ज़रूरी समझता हूँ। जैसे कि हम सबको पता है चाइनीज़ गवर्नमेंट या चाइनीज़ कम्युनिस्ट ने उनके, आप लोगों के जैसे मीडिया बंधुओं को सभी को पता है कि उन्होंने एक बीच में जो स्टेटमेंट दे रहे हैं, पहले तो एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं कर रहे थे कि वो उनके पास है, फिर बाद में जैसे उनका स्टेटमेंट आया तो बीच में हमें ये भी मालूम चल रहा है, स्टेटमेंट मीडिया के थ्रू मालूम चल रहा है कि हाँ वो अच्छे एजुकेशन ले रहे हैं और मतलब नॉर्मल लाइफ जी रहे हैं। तो मैं एज ए मीडिया के थ्रू मैं यही पूछना चाहूँगा, आखिर है तो जितने भी यूनाइटेड नेशंस के जो हमारे जो मिनिस्टर है हमारे, जो उनसे मिलना उनको ज़रूरी है, या नहीं होगा तो पब्लिक डोमेन में उनको लाना बहुत ज़रूरी है। और बिकॉज वो आज के डेट में एक छोटे बच्चे नहीं हैं, अब आज वो गुप्त होके ऑलमोस्ट 35 ईयर्स हो रहे हैं। तो मैं तो यही अपील करना चाहूँगा कि उनको एक बार पब्लिक डोमेन में लाया जाए। आखिर उनका, मुझे तो यहाँ तक की शंका है, मुझे लग रहा है कि वो है कि नहीं है, दैट इज़ द क्वेश्चन मार्क। ये मेरे माइंड में सबसे एक बड़ा वो रखता है, क्योंकि मैं एक बुद्धिस्ट फैमिली से आता हूँ, तो मैं एक बुद्धिस्ट को रिप्रेजेंट करता हूँ, तो मुझे इस चीज़ का सबसे बड़ा डाउट है। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल उनको एक दिखाया जाए, दर्शन के लिए लाया जाए, बेशक मिलने हमें ना दिया जाए, कम से कम एक पब्लिक डोमेन में उनको एक बार आना चाहिए। जैसे अभी हमारे रिम्पोछे ने कहा है, उनका जो 6 इयर्स का एक जो पिक्चर, एक फोटोग्राफ्स है, एज ए ड्रीम, एज ए जो हमारे माइंड में, हमारे दिल में, वही पिक्चर लेके आज के बीच में हम बैठे हैं। अभी हमें तो पता ही नहीं उसके बाद क्या है क्या नहीं है। थैंक यू।
I just have one question. Even if the Chinese someday come and say that he is the 11th Panchen Lama, how would you know whether he's actually the one?
No.
Because are there other people around him who you have met or you've heard of? So how do you quantify?
एक्चुअली जो हमारे जो दलाई लामा जी के जो हिसाब से चल रहे हैं, हमारा जो स्पिरिचुअल लीडर है आज के डेट में, हमारा सब कुछ वही है, जो उनके हिसाब से जो बताया गया है, उसके हिसाब से जो दिखाया गया है वही है, उनके हिसाब से हमने चलना है। अब हमें यही तो हमारे भी तो क्वेश्चन, आखिर है तो एक बार पब्लिक डोमेन में आना चाहिए, नहीं है तो नहीं होना चाहिए। या चलो एज ए बुद्धिस्ट कम्युनिटी को उनसे तकलीफ है, चाइनीज़ कम्युनिस्ट को, देन दे गो टू द यूएन के डेलीगेशन को उनके साथ मिलने दिया जाए, या कुछ भी एक मेथड यूज़ कर सकते हैं ताकि हमें मालूम चले। मेरे हमेशा यही वर्ड्स आ रहा है, मेरे को डाउट है, दैट्स अ वन क्वेश्चन मार्क, हिज लाइफ इज़ नॉट। थैंक यू।
We will conclude with this. Thank you so much for coming, all the media persons who are here, and thank you to our guest as well. Onto their assumption. Yeah.